Okay, graph the inequality. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to need the x on the left side. So since it's pointing to the 12, the inequality needs to point to the 12. So then I'm going to divide by 6. So 12 divided by 6 is 2. Bring down the inequality sign. So notice that it has a line on the bottom, so that means it's going to be a solid circle. So it can't be A, it can't be B. So here's 2, and then it needs to be going to the right. So the answer is D. Okay, solve for C. The absolute value of negative 7C minus 6 is less than 8. Since it's less than, that's going to be an and. Remember the greater than, it's greater, so that would be an or. Okay, so this is an and. So we're going to have negative 7C minus 6 is less than 8, or negative 7C minus 6 is greater than negative 8. So notice you change the sign, and you flip the sign for the negative. Okay, so we're going to solve each one individually. So I'm going to add 6. So 8 plus 6 is 14. Bring down the negative 7C. Divide by negative 7. Okay, so C is 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. So notice you divided by a negative number. So that means I have to flip the inequality sign. So I'm going to add 6. Negative 8 plus 6 are different signs. Different signs we subtract. That becomes negative 2. Bring down the negative 7C. Divide by negative 7. A negative divided by negative becomes a positive. And notice that you divided by a negative number. So that means I have to flip the inequality sign. Okay. So C is greater than negative 2 and C is less than 2 over 7. So I need a number that the inequality is pointing to the C. So notice this one is pointing to the C. So the answer has to be C, 2 over 7. So C is less than 2 over 7 and greater than negative 2. Solve the inequality and graph the solution. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line, add 4. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Bring down the x, bring down the inequality. Since there's no line, that means it's going to be an open circle, so it can't be B or C. It's going to the right, so it has to be C. Graph the inequality. Okay, so absolute value of 4x plus 2 is greater than 10. Since it's greater, that means it's going to be an or. So I'm going to have 4x plus 2 is greater than 10, or 4x plus 2 is less than negative 10. So notice a couple of things. Okay, one's negative, one's a positive, and then I flip the inequality sign of the second one. So draw your line. So I'm going to subtract 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. Bring down the 4x. Divide by 4. So x is greater than 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. So once again, I'm going to subtract 2. Negative 10 minus 2 are same signs. Same signs we add and keep. Bring down the 4x. Divide by 4. So negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Bring down the x. And I didn't divide by a negative number, so I'm not going to switch the sign. So remember, this is an or. Or means you're going in opposite direction. So I know the answer can't be B or C. It has to be either A or D. So I have an open circle on negative 3 and an open circle on 2, and then the signs are going in opposite directions. Okay, the length of a rectangle is 6 more than 3 times the width. Find the width of a perimeter if the perimeter of a rectangle is equal to 76. So we're going to draw a rectangle. Okay, and then we're going to translate this statement right here. So we have 6 more than 3 times the width. So the length is 6 more than 3 times the width. And we're going to call this the width. So this is x. This is 6 plus 3x. We're going to add up our like terms. So we have 6x plus 1 is 7 plus the other one is 8x. So we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 6 plus 6 is 12. And we're going to set that equal to 76. We're going to draw our line. Subtract 12. So 76 minus 12 is 64. Bring down the 8x. Divide by 8. So 64 divided by 8 is 8. So the width of the rectangle is 8 meters. The graph below shows the cost for purchasing various amounts of gas. According to the graph below, how much money would it cost to buy 12 gallons of gas? Notice this is the gallons, so we're trying to buy 12 gallons of gas. So go over, it's going to be about $4. The local ice skating rink charges a member a one-time fee of $35 plus $11 per session to skate. If X is the number of sessions, write an inequality that describes the number of sessions you can obtain for $71. Okay, so you need to decide, are you going to spend at least $71 or at most $71? This is going to be at most, because you don't want to spend more than 71. So at most, remember, it's always the opposite, is less than or equal to 71. So now out of the 35 and 11, I need to figure out which one's my flat fee. So you have a one-time fee of $35. So that is your flat fee. So that is your y-intercept. So therefore, 11 has to be my slope. So it's going to be, remember, it's mx plus b. So it's going to be 11x plus 35 has to be less than or equal to 71. Okay, so the absolute value of 4x minus 6 is greater than 6. So since it's greater, that means it's going to be an OR. So 4x minus 6 is greater than 6, or 4x minus 6 is less than negative 6. So we're going to add 6. That becomes 12. Bring down the 4x. Divide by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. And bring down your inequality sign. Or, again, I'm going to add 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Bring down the 4x. Divide by 4. And 0 divided by 4 is 0. Okay, so the answer is x is greater than 3 or x is less than 0. Okay, so graph y is less than negative 5x plus 4. So first thing we're going to do is graph the y-intercept on my y-axis. So 4. From there, I'm going to use my slope. Since it's negative, I'm going to go down 5 to the right 1. Since it's a no line, mean that's going to be a dash. So I'm going to have a dash line. Okay. Remember that this is the top of the line. Since it's less than, remember there's two ways it can be. It can be less than, which means you're going to graph the lower part. Greater means you're going to graph the top. So since it's low, I'm going to shade the bottom part of the line. So that would be my graph. Okay, graph the inequality. So we're going to, let me rewrite it because I need more room. So this is an and, so it's an and, so it's going to be graph in between the numbers. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 3, and I need to subtract 3 from both sides. So 1 minus 3 are different signs we subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. 9 minus 3 is just 6. Bring down the 2x. So then you're going to divide 2 on both sides. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. There's x. And then bring down your inequality. So notice they're both less than or equal to. So it's going to be a solid line, circle on both. So negative 1, I'm going to have a solid circle. On 3, I'm going to have a solid circle. And because it's an and, I'm going to shade the numbers in between. So I want x to be greater than negative 3 and at the same time less than or equal to 3. Okay, graph. So since this is x is less than negative 1, we're just going to graph x is equal to 1. Okay, notice that they gave us a two-dimensional graph. So we're not going to graph this on a number line. Okay, so we're going to graph x equals to 1. So there's x. Since I have a line going left and right, I'm going to have a line going up and down. Since it's equal, it's going to be a solid line. So the line means it's going to be a solid. Okay, since it's less than, it's going to the left. That means I need a shade to the left. Okay, solve for b. Negative b plus 2 is equal to 4. So this is absolute value. So that means I'm going to have two answers. One where I left my house and I went to the right. The other one, I left my house and I went to the left. Remember, the absolute value means distance from 0. So I'm going to subtract 2. 4 minus 2 is 2. Bring down the negative 2b. Divide by negative 2. So b is equal to negative 1. Or, can subtract 2. Negative 4 minus 2 are same sign. Same signs we add and keep. Bring down the negative 2b. Divide by negative 2. Negative 6 divided by negative 2. Same sign, same signs. A negative times a negative becomes a positive. So the answer is b equals negative 1 or b equals positive 3. Okay, write an inequality to represent the shaded region that is shown on the graph below. Okay, so remember we have different steps. Okay, we need to decide, we need to find the slope, the y-intercept, whether it's shaded flow or shaded top, whether it's a dash or solid, and then finally it's going to be y box mx plus b. So we're going to start with our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is 1. We're going to pick 2 points, go up and over and count our boxes. That would be 5 and 1. So my slope is 5 over 1 or 5. Notice that it's going down, so it's negative 5 over 1. So another thing is you went up 5 and to the left 1. Okay, so it's a dash line, so that means it's going to be no line. And this is the top of the line, so it's shaded below the line, so it's going to be a less than. It's going to be y less than no line, negative 5x plus 1. Okay, solve the inequality, so you're just going to draw your line. Okay, the negative 8 needs to move to the right, so it becomes a positive. The negative 2b needs to move to the left, so it becomes a positive. Bring down the 4b, and bring down the 2. So 8 plus 2 is 10. 4b plus 2b is 6. Divide by 6. Okay, so we can reduce this by 2. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. Okay, a drama teacher has a budget of $120 to spend on materials. To create costume for a play, he can buy 1 square yards of white materials for $12 and 1 square yards of blue material costs $15. Let X represent the number of squares, so that's important. Let X represent the number of square yards of white fabric. That's going to be the white fabric. Purchase and Y be the number of square yards of blue fabric. So this is the blue fabric. Then the inequality 12x plus 15y less than 120 graph below determines how many square yards of each type of fabric can be bought without exceeding the budget. If the teacher wants to buy 4 square yards of white fabric, what is the greatest whole number of yards of blue fabric that he can buy without exceeding the budget? Okay, so remember that the shaded area represents all the different combinations that the drama teacher can buy of white and blue fabric. Okay, so since we want to know, he's going to buy 4 white fabric. So any of these, he can buy any of these numbers. So he can buy 1 yard of blue fabric, 2 yards of blue fabric, 3 yards of blue fabric, or 4. But we want to find the greatest whole number. So the greatest whole number would be probably about 5 yards of blue fabric.